friends. Welcome to a Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe. I apologize, I'm 3 or 4 minutes late. I was all prepared for my Facebook Live and I had about an hour left over. So I thought I'll work on some other projects and wasn't paying attention to time. That's what happens to me when I'm creating and designing. Does it happen to you too? You lose track of time? Anyways, happy Galentine's Day for all you girlfriends out there. And today I've got some great cards to show you. We're going to make 2, possibly 3. I have to watch my time because I have a Zoom business training 6 to 8 today. So I'll go from this right into that. But I think you're really going to enjoy today's cards, and they feature the Sending Love bundle. And while we wait for others to jump on, I'll just mention that yesterday was day 12 of my 14 Days of Love series. And this time I made a card for a friend. And of course, what better way to tell a friend that you love them and appreciate them with a sentiment, you're a friend like no other. And I featured this card sketch, so you'll definitely want to take a look at that on YouTube, or better yet on stampinpiece.com, because that's where you get the cutting dimensions, supplies used, etc. And then I went ahead and made some more, also using the same card layout and the Flight and Airy Designer Series paper. And that sentiment comes from the Easter Bunny stamp set in our annual catalog. That's one that we had last spring of 2023, and it carried over to our current annual catalog. So that's where you can find that. All right, let me flip my camera around now so we can get started right away making today's Sending Love cards. While I'm moving my camera, would you please share this live video and invite others to join us for some creative inspiration on this Tuesday, February 13th. Okay, as I said, I'm featuring the Sending Love stamp set and coordinating dies. The first card I'm going to make, I'm pretty much stamping. And I'm starting with a card base of Bubble Bath cardstock. And that measures 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I've scored at 4 1/4 down the middle on the long side. This is going to be a horizontal or landscape card. And the next thing I'm going to do, and I need to check my measurement here. The next thing I'm going to do is on the front of my card base, I'm going to cut off 3/4 of an inch. Okay, here's 1 inch, 3/4, half, quarter. I'm going to cut off 3/4 of an inch. Next, I have this basic white cardstock. Now listen closely, because the dimensions are a little bit different than what I typically put on the inside of my card. The dimensions for this are 5.5 inches by 4 inches, 5.5 by 4. So it'll go all the way to the left and right edges of your card. I'm not going to adhere it just yet, or maybe I'll just put a tiny bit of adhesive to hold it in place. But I'm going to stamp something, and if I should make a mistake, I want to be able to flip that over and try again. And I'm going to have my top of the card base closed when I stamp this. I'm stamping with Bubble Bath ink, and this stamp does come from the Sending Love stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp it along the bottom of that white cardstock, just right where the white is showing when I have. Now, do you see why I didn't want to adhere that completely? And did you also notice why, or take note of why I closed the top flap of my card base? Because that was my guide. I was trying to center this between the pink cardstock on the top and bottom. So I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to now adhere this to the inside of my card. Remember, it's 5.5 by 4 inches. So a little bit different sizing for the inside of my card. The next thing I'm going to do is stamp randomly. And I'm going to be stamping with my Bubble Bath ink again. And this is the stamp I'm using, Sent with Love. It's got a circle and the hearts inside. And I'm going to be stamping kind of randomly on this card front. I am going off the sides. And I'm being careful not to go beyond this edge of the pink cardstock just yet. Now when I'm ready to do that, I'm just going to open that up so I can stamp along that bottom. Let me get a little more in here, I think. And I'd say that looks pretty good to me. Maybe that little edge. The next thing I'm going to do is, well, I've already done it. So this is what we have so far. I went ahead and stamped using that very same stamp, Sent with Love in the circular shape, with Smoky Slate ink. Then I'm going to use some Stampin' Right markers to color in the hearts. I could use Stampin' Blends, but I decided since these hearts are so small and I don't very often use my Stampin' Right markers, that this is the perfect time to use those. So I've used Bubble Bath. This color is Lemon Lolly. Now the Stampin' Right markers you cannot buy individually. They are sold in their color families. And they seem to last a very long time. They even made some changes, improvements to them within the last year. So I did not replace all mine, but any new ones I bought are in that improved setup. And basically what it is I have to think for a second. What's an old one and what's a new one? No, that's black. So I can show you the difference. Okay, is it the older ones? Help me out here, people. Okay, the older ones have a larger cap and the newer ones have a smaller cap. And then the tips are a little bit different as well. So here's one of the new style and here's one of the older styles. So this comes to more of a tip and you get more of it. Also, the barrel of the Stampin' Right marker is now longer. So that's just a quick difference. I don't see any major change in terms of coloring. So that's good, but just a little bit different design. All right, now the Sending Love die set does come with this circle die. It is very, very, very close. Yes, the writing tips are also bigger. I should have pointed that out. I guess I wasn't using them, so I didn't point that out. Good point. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper. Fran, thank you for saying that. So this is the old writing tip. You can see there's hardly anything to it. And the old writing tips tended to dry up pretty quickly. So I like that they changed the nibs to better accommodate writing with our Stampin' Right markers. Yes, thank you for that reminder. Who is that? Fran. As I was saying, it comes with that small circle die, which you can use, or if you have a 1-inch circle punch, like I do, you can use that. The 1-inch circle punch is not available for sale. This is a retired product, but I know many of you have it. And I wanted to point out to you that it is basically the same size as the circle die. They're very, very, very close. So if you have this and you like the convenience of a punch, you can use that. And if you don't, no worries, because the bundle comes with the circle. Next, I'm going to adhere each of these to my card front with a Stampin' Dimensional. I feel like this could be a cute baby card too, if you're sending a baby gift, something like that. Let's see, I want to move this over a little bit. Just because of the pastel colors. If it's for a baby boy, maybe switch that bubble bath to some pool party. Or balmy blue. You can make it whatever colors you like. It seems like young couples having babies are not so focused on the traditional pink for girls, blue for boys. So they really can pick any colors they like, which makes it nice for us too to have some variety. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of embellishment with some iridescent dots. And as usual, when we're adding embellishments, I'm working with an odd number. I'm using 5 of the iridescent pearls. And that is that finished card. So quite different when if you're like me and you think the Sending Love bundle, you're thinking the mailbox and whatever. Here's something you can do that's completely different without the mailbox theme. The other thing is, keep in mind, you could recreate this card with that larger circle, a little note to say, I miss you. I miss you sentiments are ones I typically use for sending cards to Emily, who lives a couple hours away from me. So that's the first card. Now the second card, and for the sake of time, I went ahead and did, I think, all of the die cutting. So we've got a lot going on here. My card base is made of crumb cake, 5.5 inches by 8.5, scored down the center at 4 1/4. And then on the inside, I'm going to adhere a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then I've got a second piece of the basic white for my front. But before I adhere that, I'm going to stamp a sentiment along the bottom. And I'll be stamping with Old Olive ink. And I'm using the sentiment, "A Little Love from Me to You." So I'm going to line that up with my grid on my glass mat and do my best to stamp this straight. It looks pretty good. The next thing I'm going to do is adhere this piece of, actually we can put this on the card front. Now from here, I'm basically just building the rest of the card with my die cuts. So this piece of Pool Party cardstock measures 4 inches by 4.5, 4 by 4.5. And I'm going to adhere it so that the sides and the top match up with that of the basic white cardstock. I've die cut some grass from Old Olive cardstock, and I will point out on this die, the die cuts the grass sticking up. It does not cut the line below. So you can have a small strip of cardstock that you die cut to be very narrow, or you can use a thicker strip of cardstock if you want the grass to look a little higher, or if you want to make layers of grass, some high, a little shorter, short in front, which we've kind of done with the snow type things. I cut this just a little bit long, so it should be 4 inches. So I'm just gonna snip off a little bit and then adhere this with my multi-purpose glue. So I'll just use a thin line of glue and match up the bottom of my Old Olive cardstock with the bottom of the Pool Party cardstock. And I only put a very narrow bit of the glue. I want to be able to tuck in the mailbox post. See how I can do that? So it doesn't look like it's floating in air. I want to tuck that behind the Old Olive. So a little bit of glue. Remember, a little glue goes a long way. Or as my retired kindergarten teacher friend, Jackie, used to tell her students, a dot is a lot. I love that. A dot is a lot. And I thought, well, if kindergartners can learn that, so can we, right? Yes, that grass is correct, Jenny. The grass is part of the Sending Love die set. Now this I went ahead and cut out. Here is another die. This is the die that creates the mailbox for me. And as you can see, you just fold it over in half. There are score lines that you will see when you die cut it. Plus there are some kind of like, I'll call them dimension lines. So if the mailbox were closed, it would look like this, right? Open up the end to get your mail out. Now here is a little hole. This hole is if you want to use a brad to attach the mail flag. And if you use a brad, then your mailbox flag can move. I'm not using a brad today, mainly because I don't know where my set of brads is. I have the ones that are black and white circles and squares, come in a little plastic container, and I have no clue where they are. They're not where they're supposed to be, and I did not spend a lot of time looking. No worries though, because you might not have brads either, so I'll show you an alternate way. So I've just folded that over and had that little narrow flap that I folded to the inside. I love it because now you can slide something in here, which we are going to do. I'm going to adhere this to my card front. Notice I only put adhesive on the main part of the mailbox, not this end that's sticking out. And I'm going to adhere it right here. I'm going to go ahead and glue my mailbox flag. And I'm going to match up the hole on the flag with the hole on the mailbox. That way I know I've got it truly in the right place. Now to cover up that hole, I'm going to use one of my silver festive pearls. And I think that works just fine. I'm checking my envelope for a little missing part, and I knew that would happen, but it's okay. Here is the envelope die, okay? It cuts out that shape of a flat envelope before it's all folded and sealed, and it puts some score lines in there. So I'm going to fold each of the flaps on the score line. You can use your bone folder, or because this piece is so small, I'm just using my fingernails. And then I'll show you how to put it together. And I'm just going to go ahead and seal this. Now you're going to fold in the left and right sides and then fold up the bottom, and then the top flap has the point. You could just do this much and leave it so you can tuck in a tiny little card or letter if you'd like. I'm actually going to be having mine closed, and I'm going to stamp on the front. Here it is. I'm just going to stamp the word mail on that, pretending that it's somebody's name or address on the front of my envelope. So I want to do this before, oops, I want to do this. Okay, we're going to go this route. Instead, I'm going to flip it over because I did not have enough ink on there the first time. And then I'm going to add a little drop of glue for this tiny heart to have that act as a little postage stamp. Okay. Now, if I weren't live, I would have, since I goofed up, I would have just die cut another one. But because I am live, I'm just going to do it this way. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just add some glue and fold down each side, then fold down the bottom flap. Oops, and I'll fold down the top flap. Hold that for a few seconds. And then I have this sealed envelope for the mail, and you see how it has that slot there? I love that. How cute. If I were doing this, say, for a child, I would probably write the child's name on the front. Or anybody, really, doesn't have to be a child. Just make it a little more personal. Then I will adhere this to the card front so it appears that it's being put in or taken out of my mailbox. Now, when I cut the little hearts, it actually cuts 4. Yes, one has disappeared. I wonder if it went under here. Nope. Anyways, I'm not going to spend any more time searching for that little heart. And if you can guess, it's probably going to show up a little later. And if it does, I will just add it to my card then. But the plan was that I would add these 3 little hearts to the inside of my card. Because if I needed 1 and it die cuts 4, I figure I need to use all 4. Oops, that is not good. Let me pick that up. There we go. So when I find that third one, I'll just put it right here. So it's a little surprise inside with those decorated hearts. Okay. I'm feeling clumsy today. I'm really tired. I had, well, I was gone in Phoenix for a business retreat, which was fabulous. And then got back Sunday evening and I've been just wiped out. As you know, I have the slip disc in my back. I paid for this retreat. It was quite expensive. And I really didn't want to miss it. I did great on the plane ride, but then, and I did great during the day with the retreat, but I'm still not able to lay flat on my back, my stomach, left side, right side. So sleeping at the hotel was, let's just say it was beyond challenging. So I didn't really get much sleep, came home pretty sore, had some physical therapy today. So I'm kind of tired, to be honest. I'm kind of tired. But such is life, right? I'm trying not to complain. Things could always be worse. Just doing what I have to do and trying to be patient as this heals. It seems like a really long process. Okay, I wasn't sure I was going to have time for the third card, but it looks like we're good. So I have a piece of 5" by 3 3/4" white cardstock, and I've inked up this mailbox stamp with the black Memento ink. And then I'm going to You know, that's not as straight as I would like it. I'm gonna try again, if that's okay with you. Does that happen to you? You think, that's not quite as straight as I would like. So I'm having a redo. And I'm gonna see if I can make it a little straighter, that mailbox post. That's the great thing about cardstock, especially our white cardstock. Oh yes, much better. Especially our white cardstock, because you can stamp on it and flip it over, and when you, like now we can see maybe the shadow a little bit of the previous stamp or the one on the back, but when you put it against something, it's going to be perfect. The next thing I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment. Okay, I have a confession here too. It's just been a day, you know, it's just been a day. So I was putting all the labels, I want to show you this. I was putting all the labels on my stamps. Everything went well. I went to stamp this and I thought, well, it's not stamping straight. Do you see what I did? I didn't have it lined up correctly. So here's a solution to that. If that ever happens to you, see how the rubber, the letters on the red rubber are straight now, but when I flip it over, my label isn't. Here's how you can make sure that you stamp it straight. So I lined up my block using the grid on my glass mat, or if you have grid paper, and then I put the stamp on so that the letters on the stamp, the I miss you, look straight. And I think that looks good. Let me double check. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now when I flip it over, it's not, but I know that I just have to stamp with my block straight. Okay. So, and it kind of messes with me because I still want to turn it, but I am going to forever remember this. I want to put it down a little bit and see how that worked out. So if you ever make that mistake like I did, be sure to remember that tip or go back to this. Now I want to add some sky. I don't want my mailbox to look like it's floating in air. So I'm going to add some sky with my balmy blue ink and a small blending brush. When you're using a blending brush, you want to remember to start blending off your cardstock, whether it be on your glass mat or your grid paper, scrap paper, something like that. Okay. And as you can see, I've got it a little darker at the top and then gets lighter as it goes down. You can add as much color as you like here. If you want the sky to be a deeper blue, just add more layers of the ink. And you want to be patient with it. It's better to add several layers than to over ink your brush and then do it, because then it'll be splotchy. Okay, I'm going to close this up. And then I'm going to use some of my Stampin' blends to quickly color this in. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the Smoky Slate Stampin' blends to color in the mailbox. to the I think the other end of my Smoky Slate Light Stampin' Blend is almost out of ink, so I'm going to use this side. And then I'm going to use the darker shade for what is the inside of the mailbox. Might even just do a little shadow here where the flag is, and I'm going to put that dot of the dark Smoky Slate on the red flag. Now for the flag, I'm using the dark shade of Real Red, using just one shade for this. Then I'm going to use the Crumb Cake. I'm going to start with Crumb Cake Light. And it's okay that some of my Balmy Blue got into the area of the mailbox post. Oh, this is getting dry too. In the area of the mailbox post, because that ink that we put on was so light, that I put on, was so light that it'll easily be covered up when I'm coloring. Now I'm going to color some areas with the dark shade of Crumb Cake. Obviously the area directly under the mailbox would appear a little darker, with maybe with a shadow. And I'm just going to make the top of this post in the dark shade. Make it look a little more decorative, right? And then I'm going along those two vertical lines with the dark shade, just to create some dimension, okay? That's what using shades of colors does, creates dimension for us. Gives it a little bit more realistic look too. Let me go do that under here. Under here as well. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add some graphs around the mailbox post. And I'm using Old Olive to do that. It doesn't have to be perfect with the lines drawn in the stamp. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is adhere this to basic white cardstock that measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So essentially I'm doing a white on white, okay? The stamped, actually let me put this on my card front first. So 5 1/4 by 4 inches is the layer on the front. I'll also put that on the inside of my card for writing a message. And now I'm ready to adhere this. Since I'm using dimensionals on this, I wanted to adhere the other white piece first. Do you see how blending that balmy blue ink onto this piece makes it pop against the white and balmy blue cardstock? All right, so there's my third card. I don't know what I was thinking, wondering if I would have time. Because I did. So here are 3 wonderful cards. This is my day 13 of my 14 Days of Love series. So if you've been following that, wonderful. I hope you feel inspired to create, maybe came up with some new project ideas. If you haven't been following it, I'm sorry, but you're missing out. So go check it out on my YouTube channel, Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe, or even better, check it out on stampinpiece.com, because that's where you can watch the video, but you'll also get cutting dimensions, a link for Stampin' Up! Products used, that sort of thing. Okay, so you get more detailed information by going to stampinpiece.com, but you can also view it on my YouTube channel, which is Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe. Thank you for joining me. If you would like to have, I'll give all 3 of these cards away today. If you would like to have your name put into the drawing to receive one of these Sending Love cards, please type in the comments now, Sending Love. Okay, that's the name of the bundle I used today, Sending Love. And I showed you 3 different ways to use it, mainly just stamping, mainly dies, and here just a little bit of stamping and coloring. All right, so you've got 3 ideas for that. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing you again right here on Facebook, Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe, on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, happy stamping.